Amidst escalating tensions in eastern Ukraine, Russia launches a significant offensive near Kreminna, Vuhledar, and Bakhmut, with the goal of seizing the Donbas region. As experts predict an intensification of violence in the coming weeks, questions arise over Russia's ability to achieve its objectives before spring's muddy season sets in. Despite massing hundreds of thousands of troops, Russia faces challenges including subpar leadership, insufficient logistics, and low morale. Stay updated on the latest developments in the conflict with our comprehensive coverage of the Ukraine-Russia crisis. Attempting to breach defenses close to the town of Kreminna, Russia has initiated a significant offensive in eastern Ukraine. The offensive was anticipated, but many assumed it would take place around the one-year anniversary of the invasion, on February 24th. Instead, we have seen weeks of attacks from many directions on the Ukrainian front lines, from the mercenary company Wagner's assaults in the north to regular Russian army and airborne forces from the south. According to NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg, the predicted winter onslaught by Russia appears to have started. Russian troops are reportedly entering the fray, stepping up or starting new offensives in eastern Ukraine, notably in the vicinity of the towns of Kreminna, Vuhledar, and Bakhmut. The primary objective is reportedly to seize the Donbas region, which includes the partially under Ukrainian control Luhansk. The defense minister of Ukraine states that Russia has massed hundreds of thousands of troops in preparation for the assault and has warned that Russia will intensify its strikes to coincide with the anniversary of its invasion on February 24th. The Donetsk and Luhansk oblasts are the primary targets of the Russian operation, according to statements made by the defense ministry on February 14th. But it remains uncertain whether Russia will be able to further annex Ukraine in the coming weeks, let alone change the course of the war, even with these fresh initiatives. According to experts, there are two main causes to believe that violence will intensify over the next 2 weeks. First, it's possible that Russia is rushing to prepare the attack before spring's mud season, which makes it challenging for troops and equipment to traverse the terrain. Second, given the approaching anniversary of the invasion, Russia would desire a symbolic win to declare to its populace. Although the Ukrainian defense minister claimed that roughly 500,000 Russian troops have been mobilized for the operation, estimates of the number of Russian forces currently stationed in Ukraine differ. Experts say at least 3 significant Russian divisions are currently advancing across Ukraine. While British Defense Secretary Ben Wallace claims that around 97% of the Russian army is now in Ukraine, the United States has calculated that 80% of Russian ground forces are present there. A fundamental problem for Russia is that it probably doesn't have time to complete its short-term objective of seizing Donetsk and Luhansk. In Ukraine, spring is referred to as the roadless season because the nation gets extremely muddy. The Russian assault was hampered by wet weather last year, and experts believe that Moscow is about to make the same mistake again since there is still too much Ukrainian-controlled territory to seize before the earth thaws. It's extremely doubtful that they will succeed in their endeavor, says the Center for the Study of Conflict in Washington, D.C. The underpreparedness of the Russian troops for the assault is yet another issue. There is a possibility of significant deaths, a loss of control, and units retreating or dissolving if Russia decides to launch a large offensive with poorly trained, poorly led, and poorly equipped forces and minimal artillery support. It's been said that Russia's tendency to treat its soldiers as disposable gives the country's leaders the ability to continue despite suffering significant losses. Russia has to consider the tactic could backfire, particularly if Ukraine decides to launch an assault in the coming months, leaving a weakened Russian military to defend its positions. Reports from the front are suggesting that Russian armed forces are still struggling with subpar leadership, insufficient logistics, and low morale 1 year into the battle. They also encounter significant challenges, such as a lack of tanks and other modern weapons, a lack of ammo, and the inability to govern battlegrounds from the air. The military has continued offensives despite suffering significant fatalities, displaying almost obstinate determination to win such engagements. One example is Russia's assault on the village of Vuhledar. When motorized troops moved in a straight line, the forces sustained significant losses after becoming stuck in a minefield. We would have thought that a professional Russian army would know how to clear minefields and wouldn't move in a column when staging an attack. If the big offensive is actually yet to happen, one scenario, according to Ukrainian government officials, could see large cities like Kiev be hit by ballistic missiles, and an effort would be made to cut off the country's east by attacking bridges and moving in a sweeping arc from the north and south. It seems doubtful that Russia has adequate infantry battalions to quickly push into Ukrainian territory, according to military analysts. While the majority of Ukrainian forces are stationed in the eastern Donetsk region, where fighting is raging near the city of Bakhmut, they confess that other parts of the Ukrainian-Russian border are only weakly guarded. After Ukrainian troops nearly completely retook Kharkiv province and advanced into Luhansk last autumn, Russian forces dug in and poured in reinforcements. Today, they're advancing along a broad front to the west of the villages of Svatova and Kremina. Last spring, Russia took control of Svatova and Kremina, which are both located around 100 kilometers northwest of the regional capital Luhansk. Even though Ukrainian forces have so far prevented Russian forces from making significant gains, an Institute of Study of War assessment said that the Russian attack has started since large elements of at least 3 major Russian divisions have committed to offensive operations in this region. Ukraine just released a video that appeared to show Russia losing more than 20 armored vehicles close to the Ukrainian-controlled town of Vuhledar in the Donetsk region. In a deadly counterattack, Ukraine's 72nd Separate Mechanized Brigade reportedly destroyed almost a third of all Russian combat vehicles in the vicinity. We remember last year's catastrophic crossing of the Donetsk River, which resulted in heavy casualties. Is Russia repeating the same mistakes, or have they learned from the carnage of last year? Let us know what you think about the winter offensive in the comments below.